Okay. Hey guys. So I'm super sorry it didn't pan out for us last night to do our regular meeting at our regular time and day, but we lost power here. And I know a lot of people around me lost power. So I didn't want to use my phone or my computer battery, just in case we needed to run to the basement. So hopefully there's still a lot of people around me that don't have power. And we're having this extreme heat. So if you're one of them, I'm praying for you. I know this is not a good time. If you're super close to me, come to my house. I have an extra bed and I have a shower. Um, okay, so to do a recap of the whole weekend in 30 minutes is a lot. I'm not going to focus on the Brock Johnson conversations. I'm not going to focus on the TikTok conversations because honestly, those were just kind of like classes that you could take. You could go to Brock Johnson's Instagram if you wanted to. You could do his webinar. I will say, as far as Brock went, I didn't feel like there was anything new that he didn't share at Palooza. The TikTok girl, that was a lot. She gave us a PhD in TikTok, and I don't have a PhD in anything. So when I tell you I was overwhelmed, I was very overwhelmed. So what I really want to spend this time on is on the second day, we just had like a couple hours with just Paul and Jason. And that to me was probably the most important event of the entire weekend, because that's when I really got to hear from them what they're looking for, the vision of where we're going, so on and so forth. So I have notes and my handwriting's awful. So I've been doing my best to kind of go through it and try to remind myself exactly what it says. I will probably jump all over the place, but just hang with me. If you have questions, you can throw them in the chat. So the first thing I want to say is Jason kicked off our time together with saying he wanted to talk about maturity. And there were several conversations that went off in different directions, but it all revolved around maturity. So maturity of your business, maturity of you as an individual, as a human. And we'll talk about that a little bit more on the basics of it, but also the maturity of the company. So you guys know we're reaching the 10-year mark. So if you're Paul and Jason 10 years ago and you're kicking off this new company, and you guys have probably heard them talk about this before. I mean, Jason used to literally sit and answer the support tickets, right? Paul used to literally go out and pass out the samples to build the sales team. So their fingers were in everything. They did the whole, hustle mindset. No one was getting sleep. Everyone was exhausted, but they were building this machine. And so now here we are 10 years later, and they have built this incredible company. They have an entire staff now that supports them. Everything from, we have Liz, who does all of the social media stuff. We have Cliff, who's handling all of the, I feel like Cliff is really handling Paul and Jason. He's more like a handler at this point. But so there's a whole staff running these things. And so one of the very first things Jason said, and I have seen it happen on my team, I have felt it in my heart before, but on occasion, because the company is now 10 years old, it was founder driven, founder created originally, but it's reaching the point where it doesn't have to be that way. They want it to now take the term where it's community driven, the community as in us. And so on occasion, you're going to show up to say a Thrive Palooza, or you're going to show up to a getaway, or you're going to show up to a call, and they're not both going to be there. And there may be times where neither one of them are there, and maybe Liz is there, or maybe Cliff is there. And that's on purpose. That's by design. They literally gave their blood, sweat, and tears for the last 10 years. And they're both very much still fully invested, which we'll talk about that. But the level of maturity that he's talking about is, there was a getaway where, Paul wasn't, or Jason wasn't at the getaway. And I guess his phone was blowing up. Like, oh my God, did you leave the company? Is the company going under? What's happening? Like all these people jumping to conclusions. Or there might be a time where somebody leaves the company. Maybe a leader leaves the company. Maybe a leader decides they no longer want to be with Lavelle. And all of a sudden people are like, oh my gosh, is the health of Lavelle, is it going down? Why are these people leaving? And basically what he left that comment with was, it's not the health of the company, it's the health of that person's business. So people are going to come and go, but Paul and Jason are here. This is their company, but they are also now trying to enjoy some of what they built. So they are going to start focusing more on having a community run, a community driven company. And that's why, and they've already started some of this, and you're going to be seeing more of it. But like the summer, the hot summer, the tour, where they're having the promoters show up and the promoters are leading these big events versus Paul and Jason. I think one of the very first things he talked about which is funny because when I think back to my very first Thrive Palooza, I thought how cool this would be someday. And now apparently we're here. But instead of everyone waiting till one time in April every year to get together, that's like your one chance, right? To be with your Thrive people. They are going to start doing regional events instead of just one Palooza. They will still have Palooza, but they are going to be starting to develop and push more for regional events. So let's say that one, I mean, not everyone can just show up in Dallas in April every year. Like some people have kids and jobs and everything else. So let's say you can't make it to Thrive Palooza, but maybe like I know for us here locally in a week or two, they're having a regional event in Nashville, Tennessee. That's not far from me where I am. It's 5.5 hours. People could go there. So maybe you can't do the Palooza all the time, but you could do that. The other reason they want to do the regional events is, again, to start building that community. Have Thrive show up in a region as a community more often, as a tightly knit community, and start allowing those events. So these don't take the place of locals by any means. We're still supposed to be having locals, but the regional events will be something more corporate sponsored, where they said on occasion it might be a 2-day thing where they're like, okay, come into town on Friday and we're going to have this speaker and this trainer. And then on Saturday, we're going to have this person and that person. And they said sometimes it might be a 1-day thing where it's, show up for these 3 hours and we're going to rally. So they're going to try out different things to see what's working, especially. And I think that's going to be a learning curve, obviously, because each market is going to be different depending on population and date and time and all that jazz. But I thought that was really exciting to hear that they are realizing now that the company is big enough that we can start having, they're not small events necessarily, but we can start breaking off. And instead of just, like if you guys know, and I don't know, maybe Lindsay knows, but I know the first getaway they ever had was like 40 or 50 people. So I'm sure the first Thrive Palooza was very small compared to the Paloozas, like, that we, like, if anybody was in New Orleans, that was probably one of the biggest Paloozas they've ever had. But anyway, so that's one thing. See, it's going to take me forever to get through all these notes. Okay, so another thing that Jason talked about, and I talk about this a lot with my team, and I know there's some people on here who's not on the team, so I'm going to reiterate it. When the company sends out a message about a promotion, an email or something like that, 1,010% do not rely on your customers or your promoters to open that email. Jason wouldn't even quote us the open ratio because he said it is so embarrassingly low. He's like, do people even use email anymore? Like, he was laughing, but he did say that the text message open rate is huge. So he said, go through your team, go through your customers, encourage everyone to log in, go up into their settings and allow the SMS texting to come. When people get it, and I'm the same way. When I get an email, I'm like, okay, I'll look at that later. When I get a text, I'm like, oh, what's going on? And I open it. So he said to encourage everyone to do so. So, I don't know, for those of you that have a team, maybe it's where you make a promo of some sort. Honestly, though, for a team, I would just like, do you want to know what your company's doing? Allow text messages. For customers, when you're first creating that account and walking them through it, let them know that that's, to me, the best way to get all your information on promos and sales would be through the text message. So I thought that was really important. They actually talked, they didn't call it this, but I wrote it down this way because it's what resonated with me. I wrote down Energy Bus leadership. So if any of you have not read the Energy Bus, I would encourage you to do so. But everything they described was Energy Bus leadership. So in other words, you're the driver of that bus, you're the driver of that team. And if we want to have a maturity level with our business and with ourselves, we have to put on our blinders and drive. And the only people we allow to get on that bus with us are the people who buy into what we're here to do. So in other words, is everyone on your team going to buy into everything? No, that's okay. Don't spend a ton of time with them. They, obviously answer their questions, support them when they need you, but you don't need to be diving in and doing all the things and trying to pull them and trying to change their mind and trying to get them to be perky. If you keep driving your bus in the direction you're going, the right people are going to get on your bus and they're going to stay on your bus. And so again, they called it something different, but I immediately was like Energy Bus, which I also feel is very much like our boot camp. So any of you guys that are in our boot camp right now, since February 14th, when we started that boot camp, people either got into boot camp and did it, or they got out of boot camp, which was fine too. We don't love anybody less for not being in it, but we're not putting a ton of time into those people. They, as in both Paul and Jason, went back and forth about how to them, If someone is going to say, okay, I want to do this business, or someone comes to them and says, I'm really struggling in this business, the first thing they ask to look at is their calendar. And you know, like every time they would say something, I'm like, oh, I better pull up my calendar and see if it's up to date. And everyone's going to be in a different spot in their business. So, you know, I'm going to guess if I'm looking at Maria Dillard's calendar, she's probably going to be traveling a whole lot more to a lot of different places to do locals, but she should. That's where she's at. My calendar should reflect a lot of locals nearby. So within an hour radius of my home, right? I should be meeting my team whenever possible. They also ask to look at your list. And when he says list, on your list, you guys, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who are you reaching out to? Who are you following up with? That's your list. Who's a hot lead? Who's a cold lead? It just all kept going back to the basics. So here we were, I was in this room with like these millionaire leaders who've been doing it forever and they know network marketing like the back of their hand. And they were basically telling them to do their 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So there you have that. Okay, so going back to the maturity, and I'm telling you, this theme shows up the entire time in different ways, shapes, or form. Vent up and shine down. Vent up and shine down, which we say that a lot, and they actually said it also. This is our team. So Natasha Robertson left the company, a week or two ago, whatever that was. And I guess a bunch of people lost their mind and they thought that like the ship had sailed or whatever. Well, there's always 3 stories. I'm 3 sides to the story. But she's one promoter for the company. And so none of us all fully know how she left or how they panned all that out legally and this, that, and the other, but vent up and shine down. So I'm guilty of it. As soon as I saw that she left, I immediately was in like, oh my gosh, did you guys see that? I should not have done that. And so I do apologize, but I was shocked by it, like literally shocked. But I can't do that. And you guys can't do that. I should have reached up and said, hey, what the hell's going on? Not reach down and be like, my God, did you guys see this? Because that's just gossip and we don't have time for that. Like if you're really in your business running it, you don't have time for that. So shame on me and shame on anyone else who did it. Gossip must be eliminated is what I actually wrote down and underscored. Because here is something. So we get to this point in the training and then Jason says, okay, please turn off your phones. I do not want to be recorded. Which some people did not turn off their phones, by the way. He said, he told a couple stories and I don't remember exactly all the details, so I won't share them and muddy the water, but he said, consolidation within the network marketing space is getting ready to happen, that we are avoiding it because they had a plan in place to avoid it, but that anyone that you have a relationship with now that is in network marketing, and he did not say any particular company, because apparently there's a lot of them. He said, I would definitely make sure you're keeping your lines of communication open, definitely be cheering people on, supporting people, getting to know people, not talking about their business. But the way he worded it, I feel like there's some shit about to hit the fan for a lot of different network marketing companies. And one of the fellas that was at the retreat with us mentioned that there is one particular person who owns a lot of different network marketing companies. And he's an older gentleman. So I don't know if that man is selling everything to one company. I don't know what's happening, but it sounds like there are going to be a lot of network marketers who are going to be rethinking their business. And so that's all the details I have, which aren't really details, but I just think this is always something to keep in mind. A lot of times people are like, well, I'm not going to really talk to her because she sells oils or she sells hair. Always keep your lines of communication open, regardless of what someone is selling, even if they're selling nutritional supplements, because you never know when the time is going to be right for them to come over and join your business. But so that was like a little piece of, I don't know, juiciness. Okay, moving forward, like they kind of started to think about future, juicy. Things that they are still fine tuning. These are some things that we've heard about, but they are fine tuning it. They're getting closer. The 400 VIP rank, the 600 VIP rank, and the 1 million VIP rank. And then you guys, the one that they threw out. So I will tell you on Friday, they threw out mortgage bonus, but Jason chuckled when he said it. And so I was like, I don't know if is that real? But he looked us all dead in the eye on Saturday and he said, we are working on a mortgage bonus. He did also say, and do not take any of this and share any of this with people because this is just their fine tuning it. He said they're thinking about $3,000, but they don't know how they're going to do that. Would they split that? Would there be like one level that maybe like, we have the different auto bonuses. Maybe there would be a level that you earn 1,000, which is still astronomical, you guys. And maybe there'd be a level where you earn more. So none of those dollar amounts are in stone. None of that is, don't share those dollars. This is just between you and me and whoever watches this thing. But they're working on that, which I think is incredible. One of our biggest things has always been we could take the second largest bill away from you. And now they want to take away the first largest bill from you. Like mind blown in the best possible way. Oh, hang on. My dog lost his treat and he'll start barking. What's that? Hey, you got to keep that in there, buddy. That's your. My dog should really start to learn to love Zooms because they're getting treats now. Okay. So Paul and Jason both kept saying that what they would really love for all of us to do is to wake up every single day at zero. Wake up every single day with the mindset that you don't have a team, you don't have customers, Sandra's face, you don't have any volume. Because like he said, when they started 10 years ago and they didn't have, oh my gosh. Hey, Tom, can you help me? Would you stop? I don't have all day. Sorry. So he said that he would love for everyone to take the mindset. Well, because you guys, that you get comfortable. You get comfortable. One sec. He keeps knocking his treat out. Can you just take him outside for me? My assistant is going to save me. Both of them.
Outside,
but see that what body? He keeps taking it out. So he wants you to basically get scrappy. Like I wrote it down here: rebuild, repeat, and get scrappy.
Is there two on there?
No. And we're all guilty of that. Like we're like, okay, I got my 12K for the month. Okay, I earned that trip. I can relax a little. And you can't. Every single day you have to get up and keep going. So case in point, when Natasha left, what if they had been like, oh, we've got this girl with this big team. Let's just sit back and relax. Right? You can never do that. You never know who's coming and who's going. The only thing you know every day is that you're going to wake up and you're going to run your business. So you always have to be thinking that way. And they must have gone, I don't know how many times they've repeated, we would love for you to wake up every day. I mean, if you woke up every day and you saw zero in your cloud every day, would your heart not like, but you would work really hard, right? Every day, but oh my gosh, I gotta get jiggy. I don't have any volume today. So hopefully that wasn't like a hint of what they're going to do. I'm just kidding. But always start at zero. Have the mindset that you're always starting at zero. They said your greatest goal should be to have a giant team, promoters and customers, who are consuming this product. So it always goes back to the product, obviously. We don't want a bunch of promoters selling something that they don't use. Because they said if you can build a giant team of people who are obsessed and love consuming this product, you will have a generational business. You will have checks cut to your kids and your grandkids long after you have quit network marketing. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far? Let me check really quick. I also use Project Broadcast to text my customers when there's, okay. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, Ashley, because I need to talk about the app. Okay, I got one more page here. Okay. Oh, if they said it once, they said it 5 times. Do not wait on corporate. How often do we say that? So they had launched that free shipping promo that morning, and Jason looked all of us in the eye and he's like, okay, we launched free shipping. What did you do with it? And some people are like, oh, I went live on my team page, or, oh, I sent it out to customers. He's like, so you didn't add to it? You didn't say I'm offering you free shipping, but if you give me two potential, I forget how he worded it, but basically 2 referrals that I would throw in $50 credits. Like, he was like, don't wait on us to, he's like, we do. And they do enough. They are always giving us something, but what are you doing with it? Private team promos. He said he would be focusing all of your private team promos right now on adding free customer accounts and selling promoter packs. He said, if there are 2 things you need to be focused on, it's adding free customer accounts and selling promoter packs. And let me go back here real quick because I have a statistic. I don't know my handwriting. Damn it. Basically, it was something about the turnaround rate. Oh, well, I can't read it. My bad. All right. So focusing on adding free accounts. He says you have got to create momentum beyond yourself. And that's really where those promos will come into play, because you'll get people excited about adding new customer accounts. Customer accounts eventually turn into customers, keep them happy. They eventually turn into promoters. And now you have a team that all started with a free customer account. So you're creating that. He said, there are so many of you out there missing the opportunity to experience abundance. And I thought that was pretty true. There are so many people missing the opportunity to experience abundance because you're afraid to reach out to someone, or you're afraid to make that post, or you're afraid. It's just so funny because Paul is very sales oriented. If he said it once, he said it a million times. Give me 10 days. Give me 10 days and you'll be telling everyone you know about this product in this company. And it flows off of his tongue. And you guys, and I have been in the room with Paul before, and we've obviously been on calls and things like that. But, in the last couple of years with COVID and everything else, Paul's lost his mother and his father. He's had a lot of stuff happen. So we really haven't seen him as much. And he did address that. He said, I've not been around as much because I've had so much going on. And Jason immediately said, but that's why we're partners, because I have his back. So when you don't see him, I'm there. And when you don't see me, he's there. And that was good to hear that they do. And I think they only see each other face to face 4 to 6 times a year. Everything else is literally all on, telephones. Oh God, where was I going with that story? Somebody help me. What was I talking about? The dog started jumping out the door and I forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about how they have each other's back and Paul is sales oriented.
Thank you. So, to be back in a room with Paul and to listen to him speak, and I've gone back and forth with this in my life. He's the first one to tell you got to do your affirmations every single day. Let me tell you, when you are in the presence of Paul Gravett, you can tell that man does his affirmations probably 10 times a day. And no matter what the subject is, the words come out, like not in a canned way, but in a confident way. My favorite quote, and I share, so I did a live in my group page about the 10 things that Paul shared, the bad habits. But then one thing that came out of his mouth, and when I say it came out of his mouth, it just flowed out like butter. He's like, I have zero interest in self-doubt. And that's gotta be an affirmation. Like, I have zero interest in self-doubt. I have zero interest in being, not being confident. I have zero interest in, like, he's literally got his brain so wrapped around what he wants that it doesn't matter what other people are saying or what's happening around him. And we've all experienced the last 2 years, which have been incredibly different and hard and challenging in so many ways. And if you don't have that bulletproof mindset, it can really throw you off your game. So knowing everything he's been through on a personal level and watching him just, here's where I am. I'm mentally strong. I am confident. I'm ready to do this. It was such a good reminder that if you're not doing your affirmations, Tammy, you need to be doing them. So, okay. Real quick, because I totally almost forgot. So Thrive Connect is the new app that they came out with. It's exciting and a little bit overwhelming because it's new. The beta did launch yesterday. I do have the beta. I am looking at it right now. I think one of the main driving factors here is, you guys know one of the hardest things to do when you bring on a new promoter is to help them understand compliance, to help them understand where you can go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook, you can go to the cloud, you can go to the resources, you can go to there's so many places they can go, and it gets overwhelming for them. Well, it's all right here. I don't know, this probably won't show up, but we've got YouTube videos, we've got PDFs, we've got graphics, we have training videos, we have promos, you name it. And that's just on the feed page. And then there's a business page where once you are logged, so once you get the app and you are logged into the app, from this app, I can now go directly to Lavelle Gear. I can go directly into my back office. I can go directly into enrolling a promoter or a customer, I can go directly in and place my own order without having to re-log into the cloud. So the thought was, and you guys, I'm sure have dealt with this over the years, how many people don't know their password, right? They make it on day one and then they never know it again. Well, the customer version of this app, eventually down the road, once they're logged in, they'll be able to just have that. And so when a promo hits, it'll hit their phone. When they decide they want to place an order, they'll just hit the place an order button and they're already logged in because it's going through the app, which captured their login. But for your new promoters, same thing. It's very overwhelming for a newbie. Wait, what's my username? What now? I have a password too. Like, I got to go to the cloud. So there's a lot going on in this app, but it has such potential. So let's pretend that, well, so real quick, another part of this is that it syncs to the contacts in your phone. So now you're taking away your dependence on Facebook. How many of you have built your business in Facebook Messenger? Right? If Facebook Messenger crashes tomorrow, or Mark's like, I'm done, and pulls out, how are you going to get a hold of all your people? Right? So now you have even more reason to get their name and phone number, to get their information, because it's now in your phone. So for example, I might want to go through my phone. I can go into the contacts now through the app and say this, like, there's my grandma. She's cold. We're not talking to her. There's my neighbor who she's hot. Like, I can actually mark people. And I can also now go, oh, there's a free shipping promo. Okay, cool. When I send them the text message that's going to come from the app into their phone as a text message about the new promo, it's automatically going to have the link that goes back to my page, because my page is what's connected to the app. So there's a lot less stuff you have to do. You can talk to your team through the app. You can, like promoters, you can talk to your customers through the app. We got a, 10-minute quick demo, and it was just to break the ice. And they said there'll be lots more coming, lots more trainings. The people that were in the room got the beta, but aside from opening and playing around on it, I haven't really had any direction on if they want us to do anything specific, or if they just want us to go ahead and start playing around. So who knows, I might send some of you guys a text. If I do, let me know how it happens. But I brought that up because Ashley had said she uses Project Broadcast to text her customers. And I heard a bunch of the leaders in the room saying, oh my gosh, I'll be able to get rid of Project Broadcast now once this is up and running. So that'll hopefully streamline. Their whole thing was streamlining. They're trying to streamline stuff because they realize, because we do use social media for so many things, there's so many options, and it just gets all over the place. And we start to become dependent on those apps, which they don't own those apps. None of us do. So it's very tricky. But this way, they have it, they control. And the biggest perk of this whole app, not that somebody can't get around it, and I'll explain that, but the biggest perk of this whole app is, if let's say you have a new promoter and they want to make a post about, Rest Gel. And so from the app, so you can log into the app, you can create your post, and then you can say, I want to share that on my Facebook. I want to share that on my Instagram. Like, you tell it where to share it. It will immediately get scrubbed by compliance. And so they did one there where they were like, I love my Thrive, it cured my cancer. And it was fun to watch it. Like, she tried to post it on Facebook and it was like, oops, it appears there's some things that need to be changed. And then they fixed the wording, and then it would spit it out. Here's the bonus of sending it through the app. You know how you make a Facebook post and you're like, I don't know, did anybody see it? Did anybody look at that? The app can tell you who's interacting with it, who gave it a like, and then you can mark it in the thing. Okay, Sandra gave me a like on this one. I'm going to add her to my leads list. Like, when I tell you it is complex and we have so many levels to get through still, I'm not kidding. Like, I can't train you on it by any means. I can just tell you that there's a whole new world coming. It'll also let you know. So like, when you send out the text, again, like I always stalk people's little face on Messenger, but when you send out a text to somebody, hey, we're having free shipping this weekend, it'll tell you if they opened it and did they click through it. So you're getting a lot of back end kind of web funnel information that we wouldn't normally see, because it would just go to like the web host. But now you're going to know, who's actually opening all your messages. And again, just because somebody opens a message doesn't mean that you got to attack them and jump on them and make them a thriver. But now, they're paying attention to what you're sending out. So I know that was a lot of stuff. I know it was all over the board. Does anybody have questions, anything particular they want me to go over a little bit? I think Thrive Connect is going to be a big thing, but again, that's going to be tons of corporate training. I think
I have a question, Tammy. So, we throw a lot out here and we're leadership retreats. And what was your biggest exciting takeaway? Like, if nothing else happened, what's the one thing that you were like, shit, this was worth earning it. This was worth busting my butt for. And this was worth me making the sacrifice to bring it back to my team.
Yeah. Of the entire weekend, which was long and exhausting and expensive, the 2 hours in the room with Paul and Jason, because I haven't seen them together in a room in a really long time. And I haven't seen them together in a room where they could just talk like humans. It's been like a Thrive-palooza thing where it's obviously all not scripted, but they're being filmed. It's on the up and up. And it was just so good to hear them. They have a vision for Le-Vel for the next 30 plus years. So a lot of people don't like to talk about this. And it was funny because one of the gals next to me was like, no. You guys, they're trying to make Le-Vel, they're going to die someday. I'm going to put it to you like that, right? Paul and Jason are going to die someday. Like devastating, awful, horrible. We are all going to have that happen. They have now reached a point where the company where it's solid, it's not going anywhere, it's growing. So they even compared like some of the other companies. Jason golfs with all these people who own all these different companies. He's like, oh, we were comparing numbers. We skyrocketed in 2020. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people did not. So they are now to the point where they have not seen any drop. Like there's been ebbs and flows, obviously, because it's business, but the ebbs and flows have looked, it's like weight loss. You lose a couple, gain a couple, but in the end, they're trying to set it up so that if and when they retire or pass, Le-Vel doesn't fall apart. Which you guys, that's what you want. That's future proofing for you. If you want this to be a generational business, you have to be ready. Because I know for me personally, I think the very first time they introduced Drew way back when, I was like, who's this cat? Why is he up there? Where's Paul and Jason? I don't know anything about this man. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, is one of them quitting? Like, you just start like thinking all these things. And no, that's not the case. They have to bring in people to support. The bigger the business gets, the more support it has to have. It's all still cloud-based. They're not building some big building somewhere, but knowing that they have and I should know this, but sometimes it's just good to hear it. They have a long-term plan. They want Le-Vel to be here for you and your kids and your grandkids. And they are passionate about that. That is what they're doing. And at the end of the day, and I think Paul said this a couple of times, at the end of the day, whenever he starts to think about numbers and it like get wrapped up in stuff like so for us, that would probably relate to like getting wrapped up in our rank or getting wrapped up in a promo. He's like, I just remember that I am most obsessed with the outcome of how you are going to feel on Thrive. He's like, and then I just channel my energy into finding somebody who I can become obsessed with the outcome of how they're going to feel on Thrive. He's like, and then that just gets me fired back up to where I go. So like they literally went big giant picture to have your calendar and your list. There was like nothing, like all the shit we get wrapped up in the in-between, nothing. And I will say they are huge excited that we're doing locals again. And for my team here locally in Lebanon, I'm going to give you props. I had several people come up to me at the retreat because Le-Vel had sent out the official flyer on the Facebook page. And people were like, that's you. And I was like, yeah, that's our local. They're like, you're having a local. And I'm like, we have a local every month. We've always had a local every month, except during 2020. They're like, oh, like people literally, I guess, I mean, we had to stop getting together for a little bit too, because of, the rules or whatever, but they want people back together. And Paul said, you want 2 thrivers and a guest, 4 thrivers and 2 guests. You don't want big giant rooms. They're going to do the regional stuff. So if you've got people who want I don't know, maybe you have somebody who's a prospect and they want to know, like, I want to see the big picture of the company. Bring them to a regional event. If you got somebody who's like, I don't sleep good at night, or my knee is bothering me, bring them to your local and keep it personal. Yeah, so if you guys go to the Lavelle Instagram, there is a Wichita Falls local, which is Sandra Dilbeck, and there is a Lebanon local, which was actually also Sandra Dilbeck. She has taken over the Lebanon locals. She's just out of town this week doing the other local. So we were the only 2 locals listed for Lavelle this week. So if you aren't doing locals, get on with your bad selves. Go get yourself a local together. And don't worry about having a big room or a lot of space. If you can have 2 thrivers and 1 guest, 4 thrivers and 2 guests. Paul was very quick to say, don't ever be 1 thriver and multiple guests, because there will be some negative person in the room and you won't have anybody to back you up. And I do think that's important. So, okay, I've kept you long enough. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have more questions, let me know. I am recording this. I am not going to publicly put this out on YouTube. So if you want the link to share with your team, let me know and I can give it to you once it's uploaded. But I don't want it floating around because I shared some of the stuff they said not to share. Anyway, I'm a rebel. Okay, bye.